Okay, hi everybody. This is a video aimed for my group Empower the Body to Fight Cancer Naturally, and it's an overview, a simplified overview of the thinking behind the Mayo Protocol, what it is and why it works. So the first thing we need to understand is that if we're going to address any disease or even a car or a TV that's broken, we need to understand what the cause is of the problem. Okay, only when we understand the cause can we begin to address the actual root of the problem rather than fighting with symptoms. Okay, so conventional medicine doesn't address cause. In fact, it contributes to worsening the cause. Instead, it's just dealing with symptoms. So the natural approach is not to actually attack the cancer directly, but to empower the body naturally so that the body can fight the cancer, because the problem and the cause is within the body. So what's actually happened is that the body has become imbalanced, and that's happened as a result, usually nearly always, of toxins. Even if those toxins have come as a result of pathogens, fungi or viral or whatever, they've created toxins, but mostly it's chemical toxins. And if you want evidence of that, all you need to do is go on Google and Google known carcinogens. Okay, now a carcinogen is a chemical that's known to cause cancer. Okay, it doesn't actually have to be a chemical, it usually is, but it could be a toxic electricity in the form of AMFs and EMRs and so on, Wi-Fi, etc. Okay, these also interfere and are known to cause cancer, radiation. Okay, so we have a massive list of known chemicals that we know cause cancer. Okay, and when we talk about lung cancer, that's talked about fairly freely, that cigarettes contain carcinogens that are sucked into the lungs and cause lung cancer. But the moment we start talking about pancreatic cancer or liver cancer or breast cancer or uterine cancer or whatever it might be, suddenly that all goes out the window and everyone acts like we have no idea. But we do have an idea, more than an idea. We know for a fact what causes cancer, and it's toxins. And those toxins enter our body in a whole host of different ways, from foods and water that we might eat or drink, from products that we use, chemical products for cleaning ourselves, or plastics that we store foods in, etc., etc. Okay, so we're being bombarded with known carcinogens. Okay, so that's the cause of cancer, and it's really pretty obvious when you start to look at it. So how do these toxins actually cause cancer? Well, they do it by creating imbalances in the body, okay, which make the body vulnerable to disease, not just cancer. Okay, it could be fibromyalgia, it could be multiple sclerosis, it could be rheumatoid arthritis. There's a whole host of chronic diseases that are all caused by these imbalances, depending upon our genetics, depending upon which particular toxins, where those toxins have gone, etc., etc. Okay, so that is the cause. Once we understand the cause, now we can address the cause rather than fighting with the symptoms. Hopefully that makes sense. So the Mayo Protocol is designed to do exactly that. So when my wife got cancer 5 odd years ago, okay, the first thing I did was sack the doctors day 1 of the diagnosis, or day 2 actually, the day after a diagnosis. Okay, and then we treated her body for these imbalances. We didn't treat the cancer, we ignored the cancer. We treated her body for these imbalances, and within 6 months, the cancer had just gone away. Okay, and I've seen that over and over and over again since. Okay, so we don't need to treat the symptom, which is the cancer, the tumor, if it's a tumor-based cancer. We need to treat the imbalances which created that symptom. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, so the Mayo Protocol, therefore, is 3 simple steps. Step number 1 is to reduce the amount of toxins coming into our body. Okay, so that's just common sense, right? If toxins are the problem, we want to reduce those toxins coming into us. So that means making some simple changes. We can't avoid all toxins, of course, but we can reduce a lot of them with simple changes. So what we can do, for example, is we can switch out toxic products that we're currently using for non-toxic versions. Okay, so we can switch out our toxic tap water for pure water. I recommend distilled, getting a countertop distiller, which is the most effective way of removing toxins. But there's other filters, you can reduce the toxins with. But so don't have your toxic water, have the non-toxic clean version. Makes sense? Right. 2, food. Let's switch out our processed foods, our toxic foods, okay, for non-toxic versions, which means we need to switch for organic versions in terms of vegetables and fruit and so on. They need to be organic, non-GMO, of course. If we're eating meat, then again, we need to be getting free-range natural meats that are for animals that have actually eaten their proper diet. So in other words, if it's cattle, they shouldn't be eating grain, right? They should be eating grass. That's what they're supposed to eat. That's their proper food. Okay, so whatever the food is that we eat, we need to make it as least processed, as natural as possible. Okay, then we need to switch out our chemical products that we use in our home for personal hygiene or for makeup, etc. Okay, most of that stuff is highly toxic. So we need to switch out for non-toxic versions, and especially the personal hygiene things, sometimes even more important than food, because that goes into our body transdermally through our skin, which is rather than digestion, and our digestion has got lots of defenses to toxins that doesn't happen when it goes in through our skin. So stuff going on our skin goes straight into our bloodstream. So we need to switch out all these products, okay? Sanitary pads and tampons and stuff for women, especially if they don't want to risk breast cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, etc. You need to get rid of those toxic things. So simple, easy, common sense, step number 1, reduce your toxic load. Step number 2 is to help your body remove the toxins that are already in it. Okay, now to remove toxins from your body, there's 2 main flushes. The first and most powerful flush is water. Okay, water flushes our system, so we need to have good, clean water and plenty of it to flush our system, to flush out the toxins. And also it helps with bowel movement, which is one of our primary method of removing toxins. Okay, you need to be properly hydrated to have proper bowel movement. So water is step number 1. Good water, enough of it. That's flush number 1. Flush number 2 is good fats, because some toxins are fat soluble, not water soluble. So you need good fats, omega-3s and 6s and so on. And that will help to flush the fat soluble toxins. Good fats in, bad fats out, because your fat is one of the places that your body will use to store toxins, and you need to get rid of that toxic fat out of your body. And to do that, good fat in, and will let the bad fat go out. Okay, same as your car. If your oil is very old and thick and full of crap, okay, you need to put new, fresh, good oil in before you can get rid of the old oil. You can't just get rid of the old oil, otherwise your engine's going to seize. Okay, same with your body. You need to get rid of the bad fat with good fat. Okay, so those are your 2 main flushes: water and fat. Water-soluble toxins, fat-soluble toxins. The third thing that you need to do is to include the right kind of foods that help your body to release some of those toxins out of your body. And by the way, when you're removing toxins, you have to do it cautiously, because if you do it too fast, what will happen is you'll get Herxheimer's reaction. You'll feel really bad. You don't want to be getting to the point where you're feeling really bad. So if that's happening, you need to slow up. Okay, it doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong. It's if you're herxing bad, it just means you're doing it too fast. So slow up. Okay, so that's step number 2. So step number 1, avoid toxins. Step number 2, give your body the tools to remove toxins. And step number 3 is to help your body fight the damage done by the toxins. So what is the damage done by the toxins? Well, the damage done by the toxins is to create imbalances which make your body vulnerable to disease. Now, there's 6 main imbalances that you need to fight. Sometimes there's a couple of extras, but let's talk about the 6 main ones. Number 1, first, and they're not in any particular order, but number 1, the first one, is that your immune system has to be compromised. So the toxins compromise your immune by either suppression or by causing it to overreact. In case of cancer, it's suppression. In case of autoimmune disease, it's an overreaction. And people with autoimmune often have two things going on at once. They have suppressed immune in some areas and overreactive in other areas. Okay, so your immune system is your primary defense to disease. And once that's gone down, okay, it's kind of like the castle walls are being breached. If you want to use a metaphor of how a castle would be attacked, the enemy, first of all, has to break the walls, break a hole in the wall so that their army pathogens can get through to attack right in the heart of it, okay? So your defense walls are your immune system, and that needs to be compromised first before disease can take hold. So we need to support immune. Number two is low cellular oxygen. Now, Otto Warburg in the 1930s got a Nobel Prize for his discovery that when your oxygen levels at a cellular level drop by 35%, your cells, as part of the survival mechanism, because they need oxygen to make energy. And when the oxygen drops too much, they can no longer make sufficient energy to survive. So what's going to happen is they're going to die, but they don't want to die. So your body is very intelligent, and what they do is they change their method of creating energy. Okay, so they switch from aerobic respiration, which is how they should be making energy, to anaerobic respiration, which instead of using oxygen is using sugar by a fermentation process to create energy. It's a very inefficient method of creating energy, and it's what we call cancer. Okay, so we can't allow our oxygen levels to drop that low, but toxins cause that. Okay, so so low oxygen, very important. We don't want low oxygen. The other side of low oxygen is that it increases, or rather decreases, the pH, increases the acidity. Okay, so we become more acidic. Now, obviously, our body's meant to be acidic in some areas and alkaline in other areas, but it makes it acidic in areas it shouldn't be. In particular, the blood becomes more acidic. Okay, which is very, very bad for our health. Okay, so we don't want to be acidic. We don't want low oxygen. We don't want a compromised immune. Number four, oxidation. So oxidation is free radical damage. Now, oxidation is a natural process in our bodies at a certain level. But once we get toxins involved, the level goes too high and we start getting excess damage that our body can't cope with, and it's damaging our DNA, our cell membranes, etc. Also contributes to the fifth one, which is inflammation. So oxidation and inflammation are kind of partners in crime, if you will. So you do not want excess oxidation, and you do not want excess inflammation. In fact, inflammation creates the pathways by which cancer can metastasize. So when cancer spreads, it does it along the inflammation pathways. So you have to get your inflammation down. You have to get your oxidation down. Okay, number six is deficiencies. Okay, now, to get sick in the first place, you're already probably deficient. But once you get sick, your need for more nutrients increases. So you're deficient already, and now you need more nutrients. For example, to fight acidity, your body, after it's run out of its primary methods of fighting acidity, which is respiration. Just by the way, we fight acidity in our body naturally through our respiration. We breathe in oxygen. Our oxygen is then used up, and we get carbon dioxide, which is split into two things: carbonic acid and bicarbonate. And bicarbonate is then used to buffer acidity. Okay, and that's insufficient for our regular normal amounts of low oxygen, of acidity. It's sufficient. However, when we have toxins added in, it can be that we can't produce enough bicarbonate. And as a last resort, after it's used up its other main methods of buffering, as a last resort, what your body will do is it will start using minerals like calcium to buffer acidity. So it exacerbates any deficiency that you have by using minerals that should be being used elsewhere, and now they're being used to buffer acidity instead, which shouldn't happen. That's because of an excess acidity that's gone beyond your body's ability to deal with it. Okay, so those are the six primary imbalances. Now, there's also, as an add-on, sometimes you also get hormonal imbalances and sugar imbalances that can also stem out of these six major imbalances. So what we need to do, okay, is we need to fight these imbalances by giving our body, again, the tools to rebalance and support our immune system, to increase our oxygen levels, to decrease our inflammation and oxidation, increase increase our nutrients as well. Okay, so that we can help to redress these imbalances. And once we do that, once our body gets back into balance, our body can start to self-heal. Okay, it's because your body has amazing healing properties if you can get your body into the correct state so that it can heal. Okay, so that's what the Marie protocol is aimed at doing. It's aimed at rebalancing the body. It's aimed at flushing the toxins out of it in order to achieve that. Okay, and it's aimed at avoiding toxins to make that easier as well. Okay, now once you do all of those things, then your body can do the work it's supposed to do. Now, the Marie protocol uses a very skeleton protocol because a lot of people that are chronically sick don't have a lot of bags and bags of money. So it uses a skeleton protocol, around about 12 supplements, of which 4 or 5 are absolutely major central ones, and then some additional ones that most people also need. We see fantastic results when people start doing this. And it doesn't matter if it's cancer or Lyme or rheumatoid arthritis or any of these things, because they all have the same basic problems. They all have immune problems. They all have toxic imbalances which need to be addressed. So if you address these cause of chronic disease, okay, you can stop fighting symptoms, especially when you're fighting symptoms with what? With more toxins, as chemo does. So you fight it. Chemo is a carcinogenic. Okay, radiation is a carcinogenic. Yes, it will fight the symptoms, i.e. the tumours, but it's not actually addressing cause. It's making things worse. It's creating more inflammation, more oxidation. More pressure on the immune system and damaging the immune system more. I mean, these are things that they'll readily admit. Okay, so that's crazy. It's crazy to do that. None of that is actually dealing with cause. It's all fighting symptoms while making cause worse, which is why people that go that route, yeah, they press down the symptoms for a while, but usually what happens is that later, okay, it comes back even stronger. And it's not because the cancer is stronger, it's because the environment, your body, is worse. Okay, so it's more toxic. The immune is more suppressed than it was to start with. Okay, there's more oxidation, more inflammation, greater deficiencies, etc. Okay, so chemo and radiation contribute to making things worse. Okay, whereas the natural approach is to concentrate on fixing those imbalances. So that's what the Marie protocol is. That's the thinking behind it. That's why it's so powerful and works. And listen, this is something that you can do if you're perfectly healthy, because it's a really good idea to keep your body in balance. And all these things help to keep your body in the balance that it should be. And when you do that, if you've got a balanced body, you've got a healthy body. Okay, hope that's helped sort of clarify what the Marie protocol is, why it works. Obviously, I've not gone into any details on any of the actual supplements that I use or anything. That's for another topic, another video. I wanted to keep this short and kind of as concise as I possibly could, and it starts getting long when I go into the different supplements that I'm using to achieve those ends. Okay, but I hope this helped. Thank you very much for your time in listening. If you have any questions, then please don't hesitate to ask, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks very much.